Good evening, everyone. This is Jaren İskit, and you are watching What's New, What's News. Yes, all eye are on the US now, and everyone is talking about Biden is out, and the new candidate, the potential new candidate, will be Kamala Harris for the coming elections in the US, and I will be discussing this with my colleague Murat Türsan. Let me invite him.
Hey,
Welcome, Murat.
Jen.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you? Good to see you again. I haven't seen you in a while.
Thank you. Good to see you too, and thanks for joining me today. I know you have been very busy. Of course, we all are very busy, but at the end, now I invited you, and you accepted my invitation. Thank you very much. Well,
Happy to
uh,
do it.
Murat, everyone is speaking about the U.S. elections now. It's like the pace is now really fast, and also 4 months left for the U.S. election, and Biden is out now. Shall we start with the Trump assassination attempt happened, and how will it change the U.S. election, you think?
Okay. So that is a hard word to get out, and I've fumbled on that a couple of times myself, so you are absolved. My answer is going to be fairly boring. I had predicted on the day of that the Trump assassination attempt wasn't going to move the needle one way or another. And I end up being correct because, excellent. I did not expect it to move the needle because we no longer live in the conventional wisdom political landscape in the United States. Okay, so if this were the 1980s, if this was the Reagan era, if he took a bullet to the rib or he actually survived an assassination attempt, yeah, his popularity rating would soar through the roof. But we're no longer in the Reagan era. We're in the Trump era. This is a whole different world. People already know Trump, and him getting shot in the ear is not going to change their opinions of Trump. Some people just straight up love Trump, would take a bullet for Trump. They would jump in front of that particular bullet that grazed his ear or what have you. A lot of people straight up do not like Trump, and they would wish that that bullet was an inch to the right of him. So that does not change the political calculation whatsoever. So, I mean, in the United States, we're talking about 220 million people voting. The election turnout tends to be about 65 million. So let's call that 100 mil each. So about 40 is going to Trump, and about 40 is potentially going to the Democrats, but that tends to vary a lot more than the Republicans because conservatives do show up to the polls a lot more. Now, there's that 20% in the middle. And that 20% in the middle is the independent voters. And independent voters made their minds up about Trump in 2016. And over the years, Trump has simply just kept losing more and more independents. And I don't know how he's going to win them back. However, getting shot in the ear ain't it. That's not going to move the needle. So externalities such as an assassination attempt, that no longer is that relevant in the United States political landscape is basically what I'm trying to get
at. I see. So no one can predict any kind of outcome coming from the ballot boxes, especially with this incident when you consider, right?
Well, I'll give you this example. So Trump is currently battling a whole host of legal challenges, right? Everything from paying hush money to a porn star. Well, that's not quite it. That's misrepresenting. It's using campaign funds illicitly to pay money to a porn star, all the way down to stealing 11,000 secret documents and stashing them at a toilet at a golf club, right? So if those don't move the needle, an assassination attempt is not going to move the needle either, right? So externalities don't seem to matter in the Trump era, which is a complete departure from conventional political wisdom. I understand. It's shocking. How could you have a political candidate who stole a whole bunch of top secret documents he's not supposed to have, lied to the FBI about having them, lied again when he handed some of them and kept others, and then just got raided and they got the documents taken away? How could that not possibly move an inch on the polls, right? If this were the Reagan era, that would be the end of his political career. Well, if this were the Reagan era, 20 other things would be the end of his.
Oops. We know that Murat's internet connection may be sometimes unstable, but he will be back soon, I believe. Yeah, he was talking about the Trump's potential winning or anything after this incident happened last week for against Trump, actually. And all you may know that a 20-year-old fella tried to shot him. Let me invite Murat again. Yes. I was covering you. We know that your internet connection is a little bit unstable, but you can continue now.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and switch to mobile.
Okay. Murat, can you hear me now?
Okay, so we're back, folks. As I was saying, this is no longer the Reagan era. Conventional political wisdom holds no water in the current political landscape. You can get shot in the head for, like, Trump's head could have opened up like a watermelon. Excuse my French. That still wouldn't have moved anything except, well, he would have no longer been the candidate.
And surprised, I mean, I wasn't surprised that much, but now Biden stepped back and everyone is talking about, of course, the potential new candidate, Kamala Harris, but there were some other potential candidates as well, but I think Kamala Harris will be the next candidate for the Democrats. How do you see this political climate then? One part is Donald Trump and the other part will be Kamala Harris. How will the outcome affect with this both two candidates in the US, you think?
Okay, so I got to start out by saying now this story is currently developing, so the numbers are going to vary. But Kamala Harris currently has the overwhelming majority of delegates committed to her. So this is pretty much a shoo-in, right? Kamala Harris is going to be the next candidate for the president of the United States on the Democratic ticket. That's pretty much settled law at this point. Now, there are a couple of things that are going to matter. I have to first start off by saying Kamala Harris was probably one of two people in the whole of the United States who could lose to Donald Trump. One was Biden, and second is Kamala Harris, because this was a Kamala Harris and Biden ticket. But Kamala Harris simply has not enjoyed a high level of popularity throughout her vice presidential tenure. Okay, there are a couple of reasons for that. Primarily, she really doesn't seem to have any policy positions that she can nail on a board. Secondarily, she does not do interviews very well. That's kind of a major component of it. Let's be honest, presidential race is mostly about charisma and how you can handle interviews, and Kamala Harris really simply has not done that all that well in the past. She has this really weird way of laughing out loud when she meets a tough question and can't kind of answer it. That's like politician 101. If you can't do that, if you can't answer a tough question or weasel your way around it, well, that just means you have no political game, and that matters. Charisma matters, personality matters, how you conduct yourself in an interview or a debate, those matter. That being said, while Kamala Harris is 1 to 3 points down on Trump on virtually every poll that you come across in United States politics, money matters. And Kamala Harris, within the last 72 hours, has raised over $250 million. So they're going to buy a lot of ads with that money. They're going to do a lot of awful research with that money. They're going to get into people's homes. They're going to get on their cell phones. And what's important right now is being able to deliver that correct message, right? Whatever that correct message may be. Now, I have to buttress this with something else. This has not been an election on policy. Do you know anybody's policy? I don't even know Trump's policy, other than maybe, I don't know, sanction China harder, try and build a wall and fail harder. I don't know. It doesn't matter, because this election has stopped being about policy the moment Donald J. Trump entered a race. This is now about electability. This is about two things. Either Donald Trump is going to win or he's not. So that's the crux of it. So can Kamala win? It's tough. When you're down 3 points on virtually any poll, I mean, money can help, but you do need a lot of it, and you do need a lot of it right now. Additionally, you need a lot of time. Now, it has to be said, Trump has not been as successful as Kamala Harris in raising campaign funds. I mean, she did this in 72 hours. She basically like tripled Trump, what Trump raised in June. He raised about 112 mil, and Kamala Harris raised about 250 in 3 days. And that number is bound to go up. Now, it has to be said, a lot of this money was just money that was being held back because the big money donors weren't comfortable sending money to Biden because they were pretty much sure that he was going to lose, especially after that disastrous performance at the debates. So, like Abigail Disney, the Disney heiress, said openly to the press, I will not send the Democrats another dime until Biden drops out of the race. And, well, so he did. So let's be clear here. It wasn't Obama. It wasn't Jill Biden. It wasn't Hunter Biden that convinced Joe Biden to drop out of the race. It was the donors, because money really, really does matter. Now, let's just put a bow on this, pack this up. Can Kamala Harris win? Sure, I've seen crazier things in U.S. politics. Is it going to be an uphill battle? Yes. Next question.
Well, we will see. But the most important thing that I catch up from your views, actually, nobody mentioned any kind of plans that they do for the campaigns and what will they do, what's going to happen in the U.S. I think it's all about Donald Trump. I agree with you on that. And, well, we will see. I have another question relating to Donald Trump at this matter. If he wins, how will the relations between US and Turkey continue? Because Biden was a little bit distant with us, but Trump has different story with Turkey. How Turkey will affect on this elections as well? Because it is important for Turkey.
Sure. Now, I'm going to start off with Biden. So Biden and Erdogan did have their tiffs from time to time because Erdogan really is a master and a avid practitioner of brinksmanship. He likes to bring relationships to the brink of collapse until somebody blinks. Basically, it's the geopolitical equivalent of chicken. So Biden, for all his faults, is actually a pretty good statesman in the sense that he likes to build relationships rather than tear them down, whereas Trump tends to be the opposite when he doesn't get his way. However, there are ways of handling Trump. So, in Trump's first term, right, earlier in his presidency, Turkey and the United States suffered a crisis over this priest, Mr. Bronson. His full name escapes me, but basically, the Turkish government held him hostage under accusations that he was, I don't know, an Islamic terrorist or some nonsense of that magnitude, in order to, I think, personally, test the waters. Because as Erdogan is an avid practitioner of brinksmanship, he likes to see where the opponents are. And let's be frank, Erdogan has an adversarial relationship with the outside world, right? He builds bridges when it suits him. He burns them down just to make a point. The S-400 and F-35 deal comes to mind. If folks are unfamiliar with that, that is a whole can of worms that I'm not going to get into right now. However, as Erdogan tested the waters with Trump and saw that as he himself is an avid practitioner of brinksmanship, Trump is a master of it. Because Trump is an impulsive man. That being said, he's also an impulsive man in the other direction. It's kind of easy to handle Trump. If you say good things about Trump, if you stroke his ego, as is the case with the North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, you will fall in love, as he put it. So Trump is kind of a vibes guy. Let's just put it that way. He likes your vibes. That means he likes you, and hell with the policy and the potential repercussions of whatever that you may agree on the international stage. Trump will like you if you like him back. So that's kind of simple as that. And Erdogan is many things, but he is not a fool. You don't get to run a country for almost a quarter century by being a fool. So Erdogan, when Trump got shot in the ear, was one of the first world leaders to actually do a press conference and wish Trump well and a speedy recovery. Because he knows if you're nice to Trump, Trump is nice back. So that is one of his many faults, but also a benefit to people who are trying to work with him.
Mm-hmm. Well, we will see. We will see what will happen on November. But when I say that, actually, can you a little bit maybe explain how will the process go in the US now? When will they? Well, they have already started campaigning, but how will the process go in the US? Maybe we can briefly talk about that, and then we can close this discussion.
Sure. So RNC has already happened, the Republican National Committee, and that was mostly a ceremonial thing where everybody just showed up and said how great Trump was, and Trump walked away with the nomination. So people who are unfamiliar, you have a Republican National Convention and a Democratic National Convention where all of the delegates will come and actually vote for the party's presidential candidate. However, for the last few election cycles, this has mostly been, well, not for the last few election cycles, but the last election cycle, this has mostly been a formality, if you will, because the Democratic Party is kind of an authoritarian party. Let's be honest. The internal party politics is not democratic at all. So if we look back at 2016 and 2020, how Bernie Sanders was shafted out of the nomination, like he was almost a shoo-in to beat Hillary Clinton, but there is no better way of saying this. Hillary Clinton cheated Bernie Sanders out of the nomination. And in 2020, Biden basically did the same thing with other candidates such as Cenk Uygur, Marianne Williamson, J.D. Pritzker. He was in the race for a brief period of time. But the Democratic Party is quite authoritarian. So the president tends to be the head of the party, and kind of what the president says goes in the Democratic Party. So there's not much you can do about it. So inversely, the Republican Party is actually more decentralized in their nomination process. However, since 2016, the Republican Party has effectively become the Trump Party, and Trump basically breezed through the primaries without even showing up, and the closest opponent to him, Nikki Haley, only got 20%. So, like I said, the RNC was mostly a formality where everybody showed up and said how great Trump was, and Trump walked away with the nomination now in about 4 weeks. 3 now. We're going to have the Democratic National Convention, and that too appears that it's going to be simply a formality now that most of, almost overwhelming majority of delegates have already committed to Kamala Harris. Now, there was a threat that there could have been an open convention, and we could have been looking at a different presidential candidate, but clearly an internal party analysis and agreement has been done, and the party elites and the party bosses said that Kamala Harris is our horse, and there are legal reasons for that, which I could get into a little bit.
Sure.
And everybody seems to accept the status quo, and Kamala Harris is going to be the nominee. Now, why Kamala Harris? Why select the candidate that has the least chance of winning against Trump, even less than Biden? You look at polls, Biden is down 1 point, Kamala Harris is down all the way to 4. Right? Mm-hmm. Kamala Harris is simply not popular with the U.S. electorate. Here's the problem. When you get donations from a super PAC or the party or a party committee or something, doesn't matter. You can't just take that money and give it to somebody else all willy-nilly. They already had $90 million in the bank that they had to spend under the Biden-Harris campaign. It's against FEC regulations to just go, you know what, don't feel like being a candidate anymore. Hey, Chuck, how about you take over? Yeah, well, that's illegal. You can't do that. The only way to possibly do that would be to kick the money back to the donors, back to DNC, or back to the super PACs, wherever you got it from, and ask them very, very nicely, hey, could you donate to this guy instead? Which is good, but that would have taken a lot of time. It's really difficult to individually refund 90-odd million bucks. Like, imagine if you tried doing that while everybody gave like $15 or $20 at a time. They're just, ChatGPT is not that powerful yet. Let's just put it that way. So the only expedient solution here was Harris. Now, there are internal rumblings inside the Democratic Party that they've kind of already resigned themselves to a second Trump presidency. So, look, things are not boding well for the Democrats. Let's just put it that way. And saying it again, can Kamala Harris win? Sure. I mean, ungodly amounts of money can do a lot of weird things. But my God, was she the worst potential candidate out of the bunch?
Well, we will see what will happen, but let's say we will see. We will closely follow it, and we will see what's going to happen. Anything may happen as well. I mean, this is politics, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Can I add something? There is a potential upset. Like, there's something Kamala Harris can do, which is very, very difficult to do, but it is theoretically possible. Now we're entering theoretical political territory. This is unexplored ground. So, Kamala Harris has to select a vice president, right? Whoever that may be. So, in the past, the vice president selection has always been either a negative or net neutral to a presidential campaign. Okay, because when you select a vice president, well, I mean, people are going to dig up dirt on that particular vice president, and that could potentially hurt your ticket. The best thing that can happen to you is when you select a vice president is nothing, right? Kamala Harris now has the potential. She could select a hell of a vice presidential candidate that would actually add her a couple of points on the polls. This is possible theoretically, but you would have to add the perfect strategic candidate. I got a guy in mind. I think it might be Mark Kelly.
Yeah.
Look. This election is going to come down to the swing states, right? If you lose the swing states, there is just no way mathematically you can't win. There's just no way. So you got to select a guy from a swing state. So everybody's mind immediately goes to Philadelphia Governor Josh Shapiro, right? He's a fairly popular governor. He's from a swing state. Philadelphia, PA. Has a lot of electoral votes, so that could be a good direction. However, Mark Kelly is kind of a cool guy. He's an astronaut. He's well liked in Arizona. Arizona is also sort of a swing state, so you would pretty much have Arizona in the back. He's wildly popular. People just simply like astronauts in general. It just doesn't necessarily have to be in the United States. And it's kind of cool trivia. Mark Kelly has a twin who is also an astronaut. Yeah, how about them apples? So
interesting, yeah.
Again, to put a bow on this, Kamala Harris has to select literally the greatest vice president in all of U.S. history, and then she can win.
Well, we will see and follow it. Maybe in the close time we can do another live, and you can share your share the new developments, what's happening in the US. Definitely. Is there anything you would like to add before we close this discussion?
My God, US politics is so tiring. Like, a presidential candidate gets shot in the ear and nobody cares. I don't know how we got here, but here we are, folks. This is uncharted territory. So that's it from me.
Well, I'm wishing you best of luck during the campaign time. I know we have been there many, many times. A couple of weeks ago, I was dealing with the UK as well, so it's kind of a familiar thing for us. So just I'm wishing you the best of luck during this time, and hopefully I will catch you soon. And thanks for joining me today, Murat.
Sounds good, Joanna. Thanks for having me. It was an absolute pleasure. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Well, as now we actually find out what's going to happen in the US, and also, of course, it's a little bit evolved the EU and Turkey relations as well. So whoever wins this race, we will see what's going to happen in the US and Turkey relations as well. So yes, last week, because of the heat wave, definitely it was challenging for me, and I couldn't do any kind of live on Friday. But hopefully, fingers crossed, this week, Friday, I will come up with a new subject with you and sharing a new distinguished guests. But till then, please do not forget to subscribe my YouTube channel. Share your thoughts with me. Your comments are very important for me. But till then, have a lovely week. Bye-bye.